Okay, well, hello again. Okay, welcome everybody to session 2 of the Art and Science of World Cuisine. My name is Eni Isan Ediki, aka the Naija Goddess, and I'm so glad that you all are here with me. I'm seeing many old faces and some new faces, so welcome to all the new people that are here. Because we do have some new people and it's a new session, I'll start with my abridged spiel of how this class came to be and why I'm so passionate about doing this. My whole life I struggled with health problems. It was just all of my baby pictures, and this is no lie, all of my baby pictures, me all bow-legged and semi-cute, were in the hospital. I was sick. No one knew what was wrong with me. I was allergic to everything, and it was just my normal. Unfortunately, my normal was just being sick all the time. I just had to persevere and push through. And when I was 9 years old, I started my period. And like I said, for the men in the room, that's extremely early. And I had horrible periods my whole life. They were just super heavy. I mean, I would miss work, I would miss school. I had fibroids, I had ovarian cysts, I had a goiter on my thyroid. I was severely overweight. I was like 300 something pounds. My hair would lose hair on my head, was growing in on my chin. There's so many problems I had. I can't even think. I had super high cholesterol, high prolactin level. I had everything you can think of. I had it and lived through that. And they would just give you stuff like trying to manage the symptoms, but nothing ever addressed the root cause. And it just became my normal life. So it's amazing I accomplished anything in my whole life, because let me tell you, I had absolutely zero fatigue. I mean, zero energy. I was always chronically fatigued. It was like I ran a marathon and I'm just literally just sitting up out the bed. It just took every bit of me. So anything I did accomplish was sheer willpower, because I did not have the energy to do it. And so I kind of just, for lack of a better word, just accepted that was my life and didn't know, all the doctors and, just manage that, genetics and blah, 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 all this and that. But I'm like, no one in my family is having this kind of issue. And this is my husband, for the folks who don't know. He's some man that's walking up on me. Hey, Angela. Okay, we're going to get y'all some more chairs so y'all can come in. Where was I? So, yeah, I just kind of accepted that was life and just tried to do the best that I could do. And I was supposed to have surgery. My whole life they always said, I had PCOS. And they were like, if you want to have children, you probably won't be able to. You'll have to have fibroid surgery. You probably have to have a hysterectomy. Just plan on that. And when you're ready to do that, just let us know. And at that time, I was like, I don't want no kids, and I ain't thinking about that, so I'm good. So yeah, and that was my life. I accomplished a couple of things in my life, but like again, it was sheer willpower. And if you know any Nigerians, you know that you can't. It's hard to find a lazy Nigerian, because you have to have. You have to be educated. You've got to have things going. It doesn't matter how you feel, get over it type of thing. So, and I am Nigerian, for those who don't know. I'm Nigerian. Been here most of my life. I lost my accent around 7th grade, unfortunately, but because I did it on purpose. I was tired of everyone like, where are you from? And all this and that. And I was like, let me neutralize my accent so I have a whole conversation every time I just say hello. But yeah, so yes, and so now in 2018, I watched this documentary that really changed my life, because I always kind of wanted to be like vegetarian, vegan. It appealed to me, but I was like, first of all, I'm allergic to nuts at that time, allergic to nuts and mushrooms and bananas severely. And every time I saw a vegan or vegetarian, they were always eating mushrooms and bananas and avocados and nuts. And I'm like, if I'm allergic to those things, I can't survive on that. And then, of course, where am I going to get my protein from? And I just didn't know. I just had no idea. And I watched this documentary with my father, and it changed my whole life. I was like, there's so many other foods out there. I'm just used to what we have here. I didn't even know. And so we changed. I immediately got rid of all the animal products out of my house. I stopped dairy, and that was a former cheeseaholic. I stopped dairy, I stopped all the refined sweets and sugars and flours. The weight just fell, and I didn't do it for weight loss. I was like, I'm cute regardless. I'm thick, but I'm big, I'm cute, but whatever. It wasn't for that. I wanted to feel good on the inside, and the outside will catch up to that. But that was it should have been, but I was used to that my whole life. I've always been a big girl and all that. So I wasn't motivated by that. I was motivated by, I'm tired of feeling tired. I'm tired of feeling horrible and just pushing through and not really living life. Hi, welcome. And everyone, we're passing around because the internet keeps going in and out for the digital sign in. So if you have not done the hand sign in, if we can pass, Angela, if you could pass that around. I think the two folks up here didn't get a chance. Thank you so much. So yeah, so I watched this documentary, changed our life. So I said, okay, I can do this. This is after going to culinary schools. I was a pastry chef for a number of years. In my background, I was a former professional cellist. I had done a lot of things and my life had changed. So going to culinary school, learning one way of thinking and then changing my lifestyle was like everything I learned is pretty much out the door. Some techniques still apply, but everything else not so much in terms of health. And then I became a certified holistic nutritionist. I started a clinic, started helping people with what I learned because my life changed so drastically, my health improved so drastically. And I just said, I have to share it with the people, okay? Because this knowledge is out there, but you pretty much eat what's marketed to you and not what's good for you. And you're starting to be taught what's marketed to you because it's all about money now, not about really health. So I'm trying to demystify the stuff that you've been taught about what's healthy, what's good. So you can hey, Aaron, come on in, we'll get you a chair. You good? Okay. So I got rid of all the animal products in my house and I started eating clean. And then I didn't know all these things were going to start happening. All these major things started happening. Like, okay, my hair just grew like crazy. Like you see my hair is long. My hair is her length when I started my lot journey. And it was like that for the first 3 years. And then when I switched,
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. And then when I switched my diet, my hair just started like Rapunzeling, just rapid growth. I mean, you remember when I started my hair journey, I didn't have much hair. I've always had decent hair, but it was thinning out and all that with all the health issues that seemed to be normal in my life. So when I changed everything and then my cholesterol just became normal. The goiter went away, PCOS went away. I had normal periods for the first time ever. The fibroids went away on their own, no surgery, and on and on and on and on in terms of benefits. And I was like, oops, why didn't anybody tell me about this? I would have done this 20 years ago had I known, because I'm eating healthy at times and nothing would change. When I ate the regular standard American diet versus eating healthy, still having the same problems, and then masking it with the same medications. So when I got my act together and started learning all these things, I said, okay, I'm doing well on my own. I changed my husband's life, my father's life. And I said, okay, I can't keep it to ourselves. I want the same education that I've paid for now, but to be shared with the masses as much as possible. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. And that's why it's a big thank you to the Arts and Science Council for sponsoring this program, so that this can be free to the public, so that you all can have this kind of information. Now, again, I always say my goal is not to make you vegan or anything like that. I'm not here to make you do anything you don't want to do, because I can't do it. I don't have that power anyway. But it's just to provide you with the education and the tools so that when you have the choice, you can make a better choice for yourself, or at least an informed choice. So you know when you're eating this, you know why it's bad for you versus you're just doing it on autopilot. Okay, so if you choose to eat dead animals, that's your business. Okay, that's on you. If my story doesn't convince you, then that's what it is. Okay, so I still love you all the same. So that's my opening spiel in terms of why I'm very passionate about having this class. And thankfully, we are sponsored through the end of June. So I'll be here pretty much every week except for the holidays and whatnot. We have now gone digital. So you don't see your recipe packs on there. So before class, you will see all the recipes on my website at thenaijagoddess.com. Click on blog and all the recipes are there.
Can you say that again, please?
Yes, absolutely. The Naija, Naija, Goddess, GODDESS.com. And you can, if you have a smartphone, you can go on it right now. You can see it and follow along with me. You got it? And then if you're on your smartphone or tablet, when you get to the website, click on the drop-down menu, click on blog. I have a blog and then I have a newsletter and stuff that goes out. And you'll see the recipes for this class listed there. So including today's recipes. Okay, because this is killing a lot of trees. I'm printing a lot of stuff every week, and people losing it and ask for new stuff. But I'll have at the end of every session, I always do like a book of all the recipes that are printed out for you, so you can have that if you so choose. So with that, are any questions or comments about my opening spiel? Sometimes I have some questions about it. And if you go on my website, I have more of my story on there, so you can kind of read about that. And I did a video about all the things that changed. You know, I had horrible sleep. I mean, I had severe depression. Depression was a killer. I didn't realize that. I'm thinking it's just because I'm just tired or struggling in my life. But it's like when you're nutrient deficient, it causes depression. When you have low vitamin D, when you have low iron, it's almost like guaranteed you're going to have depression. All right. And I just struggled with depression so much for most of my life. And I just thought that was me. And it's not me. I'm a very happy, lively person, not a depressed person. That's no one's natural state. So anyway, so many benefits, things to consider.
So the focus of the class is clean food?
Yes, this is plant-based food.
Plant-based food?
Yep,
Okay, gotcha.
yep, plant-based food.
It's international cuisine.
It
Not
is.
that it matters.
It's international cuisine that's been made plant-based.
That's plant-based?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm just talking about why I even started doing the class, just to get everyone on the same page. Yep, absolutely. So with that, we're going to kind of transition because I had a comment from two people, one that's not in the class and one that's in the class, and they say, I always struggle with how to season my food. And they were like, sometimes I watch these shows like Chopped and Beat Bobby Flay, and they just give them random ingredients and they're able to come up with these things. And how do they know what seasonings to use? I said, they're not thinking about seasonings, it's flavor profiles. And so with the class that we've done so far, we've been focusing on West African flavors. So, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe the class is not aware we're doing flavor profiles versus seasonings. So based on the past few weeks, when we think of West African flavor, what comes to mind? What are the ingredients or flavors that we typically use in West African cuisine? Tomatoes, red bell peppers, yes. And you're talking about the Trinity. So what's the third part of that Trinity? And red onion. So tomatoes, red bell peppers or bell peppers, and red onion. It's like the Trinity in West African food for a lot of the sauces. That's true. What about the seasonings? What seasonings do we typically use that you've seen in the recipes throughout the last few weeks? Paprika, thyme. Thyme is a big West African. Nutmeg, it's a big one. Pepper. Yes, even though they're not native to that part of the world, is in a lot of the cuisine. So those are the things that make up a West African flavor profile typically. Now today we're putting our toe outside of West Africa. We're going to North Africa for half of the recipe, and the other half is in West Africa. So we're going to talk about that. So we're actually going to start with dessert first today because we have to let it bake. Okay, and it has to cool before we cut into and slice it. I already have one that's pre-baked, so we have enough for everyone to go around. But we're going to start off with making a pumpkin bread today that's pretty much whole food plant-based, and we'll talk about that. And then I have a recipe. You know, I always have to have one recipe to stretch your mind. We're going to do a dairy-free, oil-free butter. Buttery spread, butter inspired, okay? But surprisingly, it has the consistency and flavor and taste of butter, but it has none of the stuff that you may not want. And then our main dish is a Moroccan, which is North Africa, a Moroccan fonio. And fonio is an ancient grain and one of the oldest cultivated grains in the world, in West Africa, Senegal, Nigeria, Ghana, Liberia. And I'll pass this around so you all can see it, and we'll talk about all the benefits of that. And then, of course, because half your plate should be what? Vegetables. What kind of vegetables? Non-starchy vegetables, yes. So I've made this salad a million times, but I've made my kale salad. And so we'll have, you'll have your other half of your plate with the kale salad. I didn't feel like I needed to do that again, but I can. It's on the website and on my YouTube channel if you want to see how to do that. It's very simple. So we'll have our fonio as our start with lots of vegetables in it and herbs. We'll have our kale salad. We have our pumpkin bread as our dessert, because you can do it as a dessert. We have a dessert version and like a snack version. I made the snack version, and we'll make the more indulgent version today in class. And we have our butter. if you so choose to go down that road with me. So any questions? Y'all good? Everyone clear on the website for if you want to follow along with the recipe and help keep me honest? Okay. Okay, the butter one you will not see because that's not my recipe. So I can send you the link to that and the video to that. So if it's not my recipe, it's not gonna be on my website because I'm not gonna take credit, you know. Yeah, so that's not mine. This person, to me, was genius, this particular recipe. Okay, so I'm gonna wash my hands. We're gonna get started with the pumpkin bread. Okay. So most pumpkin breads are with refined flour and refined sugar. And this is not. We've talked about the term a little bit, whole food plant-based. Can anyone tell me what that really means, whole food plant-based?
It's a non-processed food that is no meat, no flesh foods involved in it. It's clean eating. That would be some of the descriptions.
Pretty daggone close. Now, whole food plant-based does not, it depends on someone's definition. If you consider animals food, then you can include animals in whole food plant-based. It's just it's meaning that any food you eat is unadulterated. It has not gone through any kind of industrialization process. It is as close to the original state as possible. That's what that literally means. And then typically in the non-meat eating world, whole food plant-based goes further and it doesn't include any salt, oils, or refined sugars. So it doesn't mean it's not a sweetener. It's not white sugar, brown sugar, those kind of refined sweeteners. So this particular recipe is whole food plant-based friendly because there's a version that if you want to have oil in it, you can make it with oil, which is the indulgent one we'll do today in class, and then we have the one that's without the oil that I've already made. So when we're making a bread like this, it's called a quick bread. And anyone know what a quick bread means? Does it necessarily mean quick? When they came up with the term quick bread, it is because it is leavened with a chemical agent versus yeast. And when you use something with yeast, typically you have to allow it to rise and then come back and do something. So when you cut that stuff out, that's why they call this a quick bread. So anytime you're using baking soda, baking powder, mixed with some type of acid to make the bubbles to create the lift that maybe an egg would or maybe yeast would, that's why it's a quick bread. So this is considered a quick bread, even though it takes 45 minutes to bake, okay? So I just wanted to make sure I explained that to you. And here's the bread already prepared. All right. And the oven is preheated and has maintained temperature now because this, for those of you all knew, this oven likes to just turn off and just do its own thing all the time. All right, so we're going to start off with some oat flour. So has anyone ever purchased oat flour before? Nope. And you really shouldn't because all you have to do is just take some oats and blend it. All right.
Okay. Maybe it looks like
Okay. So this is a 12-ounce cup. So this is roughly a cup and a half, which is about how much oat flour we need since my measuring cup is missing in action. And normally I would just do this in a NutriBullet, and I forgot the NutriBullet cup. So thankfully, our friend, Miss Kimberly, brought her Ninja for us to grind this up real quick. Now, if you go to the grocery store and buy oat flour, and I'm not saying not to do it, if you buy it, it tends to be ultra fine. So depending on what you're making, it can change the texture of it because most whole food plant-based recipes that call for oat flour want you to do it like this. And it does change the final texture if you use the ultra fine. Yep.
So when you measure, do you measure after you blend it or do you measure before you blend it?
In this recipe, I measured before. That's actually a great point. These are sprouted organic oats. I'll pass this around.
Okay.
Yep, pass that around. Okay, so can everyone see on the, I'm not sure which camera showing it. So it looks like flour, right? So we have our oat flour.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Can we use the steel oats to make flour?
You can. The texture will be different. And I'm not saying that's bad or good. Just be aware it'll have a different texture. It'll have a slight graininess to it because the steel cut oats won't, it'll still be like really tiny pieces of steel cut oats versus a flour per se.
Okay.
So. All right, so now we're going to add in 1 cup of pumpkin puree. And this is not pumpkin pie, whatever that stuff that has all that sugar and stuff in there. It's not that. It's just pure organic pumpkin. So we're going to pour that in there. So when you are baking, particularly without an egg, remember we talked about this a couple weeks ago. What are the 3 things that an egg does in a recipe? It binds, yes. It does what else? It can add lift and structure, yes. And what's the last thing it does? Who said, hey, Yvonne? No. Ugh. No. It adds moisture. So when you are doing egg replacements, any kind of pureed fruit can replace an egg. So if you do, that's why a lot of recipes you'll see mashed banana. You can do mashed squash of any like pumpkin or anything like that. It is a great egg replacer because in this particular case, it's here to hold things together. And the one I like to use a lot is particularly in like quick breads in terms of, if you look at the recipe, it'll say today to use a 1/4 cup of oil. If you don't want to have oil in it, to have that oil-like texture because you don't want a dry bread. Who wants to eat dry bread? You would place, I use applesauce, unsweetened applesauce in its place. And it adds the moisture and still binds it all together.
So it's the equal amount?
Same amount. Same amount. Yes. In most cases, there are going to be some exceptions. But for this quick bread recipe, yes. And the one I made, this is with applesauce, unsweetened applesauce. And then the indulgent one, because we're going to put like a little strudel topping on top of it and use the oil. And then you all can compare and contrast to see which one you like. Now, we've talked about oil before and how oils are really not your friend. They're really, really highly processed. Like we talked about how many thousands of olives it takes to make olive oil or these industrialized vegetable oils that go through extreme industrialization to get these supposed called vegetable oils out. It doesn't do anything for you. It has no nutrients in it. It has no fiber and is very calorically dense. So like just 1 tablespoon of oil is 120 calories and it's not adding any nutrition. So sometimes you can have a salad and you dump all that on there, then you're kind of back where you started. So you can already see how this is starting to come together. All right. So now we're going to add our other stuff. Oh, where's that cup?
Did you make the pumpkin puree yourself too?
Not today.
Today? So
Not
you
today.
Just get that like canned?
You can buy it canned, but I like to do my own. I prefer to do my own. But for this class, I try to make it with pantry staples as much as possible to encourage people to want to at least get into the kitchen. All right. So this is a 12-ounce cup. So I'm going to fill this 3/4 of the way. Since this is coconut sugar, so this is an unrefined sugar. All right, so remember when we use white sugar or brown sugar, anything like that, that is processed sugar because all the minerals have been stripped from it, and you're just left with just pure sugar that doesn't do anything really good for your body. It dehydrates your body and it causes all other sorts of issues. You want to eat, if you're going to have sugar, use date sugar, coconut sugar, agave or maple syrup, something that's come straight from the source that still has everything intact, all the minerals and vitamins intact, so it doesn't spike. All right, so we have 1 cup of coconut sugar, and then in this indulgent version, and not in this one, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of agave, which is 4 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is optional again. We're gonna add our cinnamon, ginger, and cloves. All right, so.
And the correct cinnamon would be?
The correct cinnamon, who's that? Why don't you tell us, Yvonne? Tell us.
I can't pronounce the name, but
Ceylon.
That's the correct one, not the one you get at the 99-cent store.
Remember,
Expensive because it's real.
so I try to stay away from things like good and bad and better and stuff like that, because you got to start where you are, right? There's just things that could be better for you to consider when you're making decisions. And the Ceylon cinnamon, versus the traditional cinnamon you see at the store, it's a different species one, but the one you see, it tends to have heavy metals in it. So the Ceylon cinnamon, it has almost no heavy metals in it, and that's the main reason why you want to do it, and it has more flavor to me. Ceylon, Ceylon cinnamon.
It does taste different.
It does taste different.
Let me ask you, as far as all these ingredients, would you find that at Whole Foods or Harris Teeter? Where's the best place?
So you're asking a fantastic question. So all the recipes, I try to make sure that it's not just at the more expensive stores. You can get them everywhere. This recipe, you can get this at Aldi, Food Lion, Walmart, because even Walmart has Ceylon cinnamon now. And even if you want to still stick with your regular cinnamon and finish it out, do that. I'm just giving you the information so you can make a decision. But no, there's nothing here. There's nothing here in any of the recipes that you can't find at any grocery store. And I do have some recipes where I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to go to Whole Foods. And that's not the one. Okay.
Would organic cinnamon have heavy metals in it?
Yes.
It does?
It does. Organic doesn't screen out heavy metals. Organic just makes sure the pesticides aren't sprayed on it or grown with it.
That's interesting.
Yep. Yep. So that's why we still have to always detox even when we're eating organic, because we still have that exposure. Unfortunately. Especially if things are growing in the ground, particularly where it's more exposed to that, because the roots latch onto it. In particular, roots tend to latch on more to heavy metals. So you have to always be conscious that, like something like a turmeric or something like that, it can tend to have a lot of heavy metals in it. So you have to be conscious of who. That's why it's important to know who is growing your food and where your food comes from. Don't just blindly buy the cheapest thing from the cheapest store, because you take shortcuts a lot of places. You're going to come up short somewhere, and it's usually with your health. Okay, make the investment in what you're putting in your body, because we are what we eat. Our cells are always regenerating, and you want them to regenerate with something that's good and clean, and not with the not so clean stuff. Okay, so I put in cinnamon, I'll put in ginger and cloves. We put in our sugar. This little thing's getting me. All right, so now we're going to add a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. I know how to do that. That's a 1/4 cup. It's just 4 tablespoons. And then in the healthier version, you would just use applesauce. Okay, we're gonna add some vanilla extract. I like to make my own vanilla extract. And then we're gonna add in 1½ teaspoons of baking soda and some salt. I'm gonna go ahead and put the salt in. And anytime you do anything sweet, you always want to add just a pinch of salt, because that actually brings out the sweetness. So it doesn't actually make it salty at all. It just amplifies the sweetness. And we're going to do the baking soda. Now, baking soda, this is our chemical leavener. And it will be activated when an acid hits it. So that's why we're adding everything. We're going to mix this up. And then I'm going to add apple cider vinegar. So if I add apple cider vinegar or lemon or lime juice or anything like that, it's going to react immediately. That's what's going to get the fizz going. And you'll see the lift happen in the batter. And we have to put it in immediately, because we want that to start baking and kind of lift. So let's see, we have 1½ teaspoons of baking soda. Same thing with baking powder. This is what makes it a quick bread.
Can we use the arrowroot in place of that?
No, arrowroot is a starch for binding and stretching. It's not going to lift. It's not going to cause that chemical reaction that we're looking for. So if you all recall from the last class where I did the kelp noodles, and I put lime juice and baking soda or baking powder, and that's what softened them, it's the same kind of chemical reaction when those two come together that we're doing here. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and mix this well. And this is our batter for our bread or cake. Some people call it pumpkin cake. This is more like a coffee cake type thing, like a snack cake. That's why I usually call them a snack cake. Because hopefully we're not drinking coffee in here. And if we are, while I'm mixing this, so you don't fall asleep on me, because I know how y'all get. Don't have a snack, y'all start dozing off on me. When you're drinking coffee, one, is a diuretic, and it's dehydrating to the body. But the two main things that coffee does, it blocks your absorption of iron, and it depletes your B vitamin complex, which is usually what gives you energy. So people who say, I still want to drink my coffee, but they'll wake up and they'll drink their alkaline water, their lime or lemon in it, then they turn and drink coffee. Okay, you just negated everything. Okay, so drink your coffee first, get your addiction out the way, and then after about 2 hours, then eat the good stuff to start to replenish what you just took out, if you're so convinced that you got to have it. Okay, so it's very, very, very important. We need our B complex, and B complex, we need that every day because they're water soluble vitamins. And like I always tell you, our water soluble vitamins have to be replaced daily versus fat soluble that build up in your system. So if you're starting off your day killing the things that produce your energy, this is why you have those midday crashes, and then you need a pick me up and a snack, and it's this vicious cycle. And this is also why you get hooked on it. It's one of the reasons why you get hooked on it. So avoid it if all possible, or drink mushroom coffee or dandelion root tea that has a coffee flavor. So, okay, so we have this. So now I'm going to add the apple cider vinegar and mix it very quickly and pour it into my prepared pan. So this is 1.5 tablespoons. So if you ever see a recipe that has some type of acid with baking soda or baking powder, once you put those in together, you gotta get it in the pan pretty daggone quick, because you want that lift and you want those air bubbles in there. I don't know if you all can see how it's transforming, how it's getting thicker, lighter. Y'all see that? That's the chemical reaction. Am I in the camera?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so this particular recipe is gluten-free, not because I'm gluten-free, but if this were to be a gluten-based flour, because oats don't have gluten, you wouldn't want to overmix it because it can become really tough. And since this is like a snack, we want to make sure that this is nice and soft and delicious.
Can we substitute the pumpkin with sweet potato?
Absolutely. Or butternut squash. Yes, butternut squash.
What about eggplant?
Any squash.
Okay.
Well, when I say any orange fleshed squash.
Okay.
The like a spaghetti squash, because the taste and the texture is so different, I would have to recipe test that before I could say any squash often, because it wouldn't be zucchini, it wouldn't be the yellow. So like kombucha squash, acorn squash, butternut squash, sweet potato would be great replacements. It's just because, you know, it's still technically fall and people seem to like everything pumpkin. I don't get the whole pumpkin craze, but I said let me oblige in case we have some pumpkin lovers in here. All right, so if you all can see the batter. All right. And I just have it lined, and I'm not trying to knock out air bubbles per se, I'm just trying to get it level, so we don't have a big dome from it not being level. All right, and that's how it looks. Y'all can see that?
I see you put the paper under it.
Yeah, this is just parchment paper. I always line it with parchment because once it's done and it's cool, you just pull it straight out the pan, and and saves you having to wash so much. All right, so we're going to just let that bake.
Now I don't open it, I boil it up and put it on the pan to give it extra heat to the meat.
Look at you.
I'm learning.
I love it. Now we're gonna serve them together. Yep. Yep. Okay. So while that's baking and that smell will waft through and get you all more and more hungry. Oh, wait. I forgot. The strudel topping on this one. This is the indulgent one. I'm sorry. Forgive me, forgive me. Okay. And all this is just coconut sugar and some non-dairy butter and some oat flour. That's all that is. It's not even a recipe. Excuse me?
It needs to cook.
Yeah. You don't, I mean, otherwise it's going to kind of taste like oat flour on top. You want the kind of the butter, the little chunks you see. Can you all see it? The little chunks you see on there are the butter. So that will melt and kind of, you've seen the strudel topping before. Oh, it's not hot yet, so I can show y'all. Yes? Yes? Okay, we're good. All right, so we'll see you in about 45 minutes. Okay. Whew. My pants keep sliding down. I can't find my belt. Okay. So now we're gonna move on to the recipe that just may blow your mind. And I cannot take any credit for this recipe. This is from a lady out of Australia. She has a YouTube channel called Cooking with Plants. And every now and again, she has these blockbuster ideas. And she's totally oil-free, refined sugar-free, salt-free channel. But she has some really good dishes that taste really good. All right, so for those who are not on my website looking at the recipe, the ingredients are going to be very unique for you to say, how is this going to taste like butter? Okay, tell me how it's going to taste like butter. Okay. Hey, Dwan, do you mind rinse this out? I'm about to use it. All right. So for our buttery spread, we have a half cup of plant milk of choice. Okay, I think this one's just almond milk. I didn't want to bring the whole carton in. A cup of steamed ooh. I put the wrong one out here. That goes over here. A cup of steamed cauliflower. Okay. It does not taste like cauliflower. And because you all who eat cheese still and are used to seeing your orange cheese, because remember, breast milk that you're eating is not orange. That's food dye. So you're not totally shocked for your yellow and orange color, I put a splash of turmeric in there. Okay. And the main ingredient is psyllium husk. Anyone heard of this before? What, you think of Metamucil? It's the main ingredient in Metamucil. That's true. And psyllium husk is a seed that comes from a bush. It's most native to like India. One little bush can produce like 15,000 seeds, these gel-like seeds. And it's pretty much 100% fiber, soluble fiber. Now, who recalls? There's two types of fiber. We have insoluble and soluble, right? Yes? Yes. Okay. All right. Does anyone now, since y'all remember that, does anyone recall the difference? No? Okay. No one remembers the bread thing I did? Okay. I have to bring I have to bring the demonstrations back and bring it back to your memory. Okay. That's fine. Okay. So soluble fiber is something like when you eat like an oatmeal, anything that kind of gels up. That is soluble fiber. Why is that so important? Because that gel-like substance goes through your intestinal tract and it clings to anything that's in there and helps you excrete it. Okay? So when you have excess cholesterol, when you have excess testosterone women, when men, you have excess estrogen, all that stuff, in order to get it out, you can't sweat it out and you can't pee it out, you have to poop it out. And to poop those things out, you have to have fiber. And that particular fiber that does that is soluble fiber. This is a soluble fiber. It gels up much like a flaxseed or a chia seed would. It's very much like that. But with this particular thing, it has like an oily feel to it, which is why we're using this butter recipe. It's so good for you. It helps reduce, if you're severely obese, it helps reduce your blood pressure. It helps to lower your cholesterol because it goes after your LDL and total cholesterol. It brings it down. It's something that you can add into a lot of things. This is the main ingredient in Metamucil. If you're taking that particular supplement. So this butter is going to help you be regular and help you ease and go. But the thing with this, even though it helps your digestive tract, it does not cause any flatulence. So you don't have to worry about that. Any kind of gasiness or flatulence, you don't have to deal with that. So, and then we have some Celtic sea salt, because most of the time, if you put butter like on the cake here, people typically use salted butter. So we just put a little bit of butter in there. And so we're going to blend this up. The longer this buttery spread sits, the more like solid it becomes. So you can think of it more like a melted butter you're putting on there if you want, or a buttery spread. So
How much of the psyllium husk would you use?
So the recipe again is on. It's not. It's
I didn't see the recipe on the website.
because it's not mine. It's not mine. But if you want to take a picture of it, or I can tell you her website to go to for it. But so the recipe, if you want to write down, it's only just a few ingredients. It's a half cup of plant milk of choice. It's 1 cup of cauliflower that's been, I say steamed, but cooked. A dash of turmeric if you need to have that yellow color. 1 teaspoon of salt. And 1 teaspoon of psyllium husk. Much like chia seeds, it takes on about 30 times its weight. So even though it's only 1 teaspoon for this whole amount, because this will make 10 servings, 1 tablespoon servings out of this one batch. Okay, so 10 1 tablespoon servings. Yep. Yep.
I assume that you would tell us to put that in a glass container.
Glass is always preferable, Jackie. But start where you are. Let me rewash my hands. See what? You said what? Oh, okay.
But tell us why.
Yes, tell us why.
So we can understand.
Well, I know, but I want to make sure all y'all know. Why don't y'all tell me, why is glass preferred?
There's some chemicals in the plastic.
And what about the chemicals in the plastic?
That will correspond to your stomach.
So, again, I'm not here to say anything's bad or good. Okay, that's your call. I'm here to say things might be better. Glass is not porous. It's naturally made. It's reusable. It doesn't, smells and stuff don't leach into it. But once plastic is heated, because it's a petroleum byproduct, once it's heated, that off gases into your food, and then you're taking it into your body. So when you're storing food, so if people say, well, I can't just afford to buy all this glass Tupperware and whatnot, that's fine. Like even today, I brought a plastic bowl with a cold salad in it because it will never be heated. Just never heat your food up. If you use a microwave, which I don't recommend, but if you use a microwave, make sure you have it on a plate, not on anything that's plastic. If you're going to reheat something, make sure you put it in a glass, some type of real stone or something. Don't reheat or heat things in plastic. If you leave your water bottle in the summer in your car, do not drink it. And if you notice it tastes totally different when it's been left in there, yeah, it's because of the off-gassing of those chemicals. That's a fancy ringtone. All right. So we have our cauliflower, our half cup of plant milk, and just for you all, I will put a tiny little dash of this turmeric. And if you put too much turmeric, because it has a bitter taste, it will come through in the butter, and you don't want that. Okay, just put just a little bit.
Now, in this case, what is normally how they say for a little pepper to activate the turmeric? What is activating it? It is,
We're not activating, it's simply for color.
it is for color.
Yeah, for folks that feel like if you were trying to give somebody this is not butter because it's not yellow, you just add a little dash of turmeric. It's just for that. That's when people eat macaroni and cheese, they want to see their orange macaroni and cheese. Okay, what cow's milk is orange? I don't know. So, do what you feel is best. And then here's our superstar ingredient, our psyllium husk. And psyllium husk can be found anywhere. Of course, I want to recommend organic, of course, okay? But I got this one obviously from Whole Foods because they had it in a canister, and I like that. It was easier for me to scoop out. But they've had this at Trader Joe's for sure, and I have seen it once at my food line, but I don't look for it that often because it lasts so long. But I don't think that's going to be a hard ingredient to find. And of course, you can always buy things online if you so choose, if you shop that way. All right, so we're going to use this blender again. I'm blending it this long just to make sure it's fully incorporated and getting thick enough. You said 3 minutes? Was that 3 minutes? Oh, it didn't feel that long to me. Yeah, and it depends on what kind of blender you have. So if you have a more powerful blender, it would be less time. If you have a blender, you know, I'm not used to seeing so many specs, but it gets the job done. It doesn't have to be. It's not perfection here. So, can y'all see that? And it has. If you can see it in the camera, it has an oily look to it, and that's the psyllium husk, and it does taste like butter. Now, it smells like cauliflower, just so we're clear, okay?
And then diesel.
Yeah. Yes. But the taste is what we're going for. So you'll have the option just here in a sec to have this butter, to taste it. Either you can taste it on your own or put it on the snack cake. Like people tend to eat snack cakes with a little bit of butter on it with their morning coffee. So I'm trying to give you all better options for that. So, and then the longer it'll just gel up even more. But I consider it's like a buttery spread like you would get when they give you those little butter things. It's like that. Okay. So
Can you pour it in something to shape it?
you can,
Okay.
but it will never be as firm as actual butter.
Okay.
Even the non-dairy, but it will still have a jiggliness to it because of the soluble fiber. Okay. The nature of it is to gel up, not to get firm and strong like that. Right. So we good? Mm-hmm. I wonder if y'all want to just taste it, or y'all want to wait until this is done?
Taste it.
Should we go ahead and pass out? Because I feel like y'all starting to wane. Let me see, where are we? We're at the halfway point. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and pass out the healthy version. The healthy version of the bread. Here. Now this one is with no oil, refined sugar-free, oil-free, and it had just a pinch of salt. But normally the salt replacement I use is miso, but it wasn't needed in this. So we'll pass this out, and then you can put the spread on top or taste it by itself, whatever you choose. That way, and then we'll have the indulgent one afterwards, and then you can see if you feel like you can go without the oil, because you can. All right, so my husband will pass this out to you all so I can get y'all all the way back in with me. Okay. They have their spoons. Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Just make sure you don't get the piece of cauliflower still in there. Yeah, that's fine. That should be plenty. And just tell me what you think. It's something new, something different, and you see it wasn't that difficult, right? So As a former cheeseaholic, butteraholic, I personally thought, this is a good option. All right. So we're in the home stretch here. We're gonna do our main thing.
Yeah, taste it.
Don't smell it. It smells like cauliflower. Okay. Just to make sure I cover that point. Yeah. I think one last thing I didn't mention about psyllium husk, it's a prebiotic. And when we talk about this, I think it was our last class, what is a prebiotic? Prebiotics is the food for the probiotics, right? So people are always talking about these probiotics, but if you're not eating the stuff that they eat to make your gastrointestinal tract healthy, is a moot point, right? So things like oats, a lot of these things with soluble fiber are prebiotics. So this is a prebiotic. It does taste like butter. Some people hate, like my sister-in-law, she hates cauliflower. But I was gonna say, it doesn't taste like cauliflower, it smells like cauliflower. So just make sure we're clear on that.
It's nice.
Yeah?
Very good.
Okay.
You said that the psyllium husk has more oil.
It produces an oily, consistent texture, but there's no oil in it.
But what if I replace it with flaxseed?
It does not do the same. I've tried. It does not do the same. It's specifically psyllium husk because flax and chia don't have that oil slickness to it like psyllium husk does. Yeah. You get a butter feel, right? Yeah.
Yes. And that cake is good.
Okay.
I really tried to do the dandelion.
I didn't look at Karen. I didn't look at you. I didn't even look at you. Okay. See how y'all just liven up when some food comes around? See how y'all just falling asleep on me? Hey, Ian. Yes. I can't hear you.
If you warm the butter, it will lose its texture like.
No.
Could you warm it? Should I?
You can warm it. You can warm it slightly. Don't not for too long. Yeah, because then it kind of like clumps up when you warm it up too long. It can just be slightly. And normally when I make it, I usually have it warm because I do it when the cauliflower, I just finished steaming it, and then I make it, so it's warm. It's warm butter already. But I steamed it before I left, so it was room temperature. Yeah. I agree. I typically have only had it warm. So yeah. And make sure everyone got a taste. Thoughts? Does it taste like cauliflower? No. Do you feel that oil slip? No? Oh.
Yeah, the texture was there.
The texture. Okay. Not the flavor? It was a no-go for you? For what it is, it's inspired. Okay, that's why I said buttery spread. Okay, and that 1 tablespoon, you're talking about like 8 calories. Not that calories really matter, but 8 calories, and you're getting a little bit of nutrition in it. You can't say that with butter. You can spread this on anything, you're gonna be fine. But butter, you want to be mindful if you use butter.
And butter's got to be very expensive.
It is pricey, especially the cultured butters. Yeah, organic cultured butters. Yep, they're pricey. And this is pennies. This is pennies. Just to get that feel. Like just put it on. If you put it on toast, for me, it tastes like there's butter on there. I mean, you get that butter. This to it. Yeah. So, any other not so good? Good. We got 2 that said no. I've never put this on popcorn. I have a different recipe for the popcorn.
What you got for popcorn?
Okay, I'll do that because I do air popcorn without the oil, and I'll bring that recipe in so y'all can try that. Okay, you can do that. You can use that too. Okay.
How long does it get done or just?
It's just steamed. So it's just steamed. So once you can put a knife through it easily, not like falling apart mush, just steamed thoroughly. Okay, now the chit chat's back because y'all back awake. Okay. That's okay. All right, we're gonna focus in on our last recipe, and I'm gonna go ahead and pass this around as I talk about this. This is near and dear to my heart.
And where did you get this?
I am going to tell you all about it. So, our dish today, like I said, is a Moroccan fonio. And today it's a fusion dish because the flavor profile of what we're doing today is North African, which we'll discuss that. But the base of it is with fonio, which is a West African grain. And it's typically grown in drought-resistant areas, so it's a very sturdy crop. So it doesn't need much water to grow, which is a good thing. Like I said before, it's the most one of the oldest cultivated grains in the world. I mean, they even found fonio in the Egyptian tombs. They aligned it with Ceres. It was an honored thing, and so in my language, it's called acha. Actually, we make like fufu with it and stuff too. Yeah, well, it's called acha, but the English term is fonio. They say it's one of the grains that is hard for the chef to mess up. Let's see. So when we say something that's high in this and high in that, we learn what that means. Who recalls when something is a good source of something versus an excellent source of something? What's the difference?
20% of your daily.
And the 10% is
Good.
And 20% or more is excellent, right? Okay, so fonio has an excellent source of protein, which we'll talk about, iron, magnesium, and zinc.
Wow.
Okay, it has an excellent source of that, and that's just with a half cup portion. And then it has a good source of all the other trace minerals. So it's really, really nutrient dense. And are we back live? Can you hear me again? Okay. That means I have some voice tomorrow. That's really good. So I really hate talking about protein because protein is a farce, it's a myth, it's amino acids, okay? And we've talked about that. And so we have some essential amino acids that we don't produce on our own because we remember the word essential means our body does not produce it and therefore we have to get it or consume it through food. So there are a couple of amino acids in fonio that is really high in. It's really high in cysteine and methionine. And so you're probably like, what does that mean? Those are the sulfur-based amino acids. Those are the ones that are really good for hair and skin. Anything that's kind of sulfur-based is really good for that. And so it supports like anti-aging and liver detoxification. So that's what is really the amino acids are really high in. It helps the production of glutathione. And we've talked about that before. That's your master antioxidant in your body. And you need more and more and more of that. And this helps support the production of that. And that's why it's really good. That's why it's also like sulfur-based nutrients are really good for us. That's why sea moss is so good for us because it's sulfur based and our bodies really use that a lot. It's really great for diabetics as a grain because it is very low on the GI chart. It does not spike your blood sugar. And then the uses for it is so versatile. So I typically, if I'm not like cooking it, I like to use it like in a smoothie. And so because I am allergic to bananas and a lot of smoothies call for bananas and I just can't do that. If I want to thicken it, you can put in fonio as a thickener and then you're getting all those nutrients, minerals from it. Yeah, so you can do that. So you can just boil, make a big thing of it. And you can prepare fonio like couscous. So you can have that crumbly feel or you can prepare it like cream of wheat. You can prepare it like oatmeal or grits. It depends on how much water you want to put in. It's very versatile. That's why I said it's a ingredient that the chef doesn't get embarrassed with because you can always doctor it up in some way. It's also really good as a workout recovery because of its high profile of amino acids. And it's really good to add to a salad. So when sometimes people add like quinoa to a salad, you can add fonio to a salad. So it's a super tiny grain, very similar to teff. It's like sand. And when I finish pouring some in here, I'll pass it around so you can actually kind of see what it looks like. It's like sand. It's very, very tiny, but it's so full of everything that you need. So it's just really, really awesome. It was a staple before colonization in West Africa, and now it's kind of coming back. And it's really easy to grow. Like I said, it doesn't require very much water. It's drought resistant, and it's full of nutrients, and then it's also very filling. So I'll have a recipe later on. I have one called Naija's Wholesome Smoothie where I use Fonio, so you all can kind of taste it. When you prepare it, so if this was straight North African, we would have used couscous as our grain. Instead of the couscous, I used the Fonio because we're still kind of in the West African part of this part of the class. Since we're going through June, we have to get through West Africa, the Caribbean, and Southeast Asia. So we're still there. So I just put my toe in North Africa. Fonio, you can find, it is becoming more widely available. So consistently, they have it at Whole Foods. It's on the bottom shelf, okay? All right, in that little bag. So when you're it's on the aisle where they have like the canned beans and things, and right beside you'll see some grains. You'll see like the amaranth and teff and all that kind of thing. If you look on the bottom shelf, Fonio is there consistently at Whole Foods, particularly the one in Uptown Charlotte. They have it now at Publix. I was very surprised to see it there. They do. At least my Publix. Remember, I talked to my produce manager and the grocery store manager, and I asked for what I want at my store, so I don't have to drive up to Charlotte every time. But they do have it. Target, some of the select Targets have. I know they have it in the UC. Target has it. There's four Charlotte Targets that carry it. And then some surrounding ones. So if your Target doesn't carry it, you can ask them, they'll carry it because the other ones around here carry it. And they carry it regularly. Huh?
What do you mean by the UC?
University City.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes, University City. And they always have it at the Organic Marketplace and Gastonia, which I like to shop there. And there was another place I just saw it pop over. I was so shocked. They have it at Earth Fair as well.
Oh, okay.
They have it at Earth Fair as well. But there was another place that I saw it unexpectedly.
I saw in the recipe you substitute millet.
Yes.
Okay.
You can use millet and you can use couscous
Okay.
if you can't find it. It's going to change the nutrition profile, but the flavor will totally be there. And this has a distinct flavor, so it's one you can acquire. And growing up, because like I said, this is in our staple foods, I appreciate the flavor. So today it'll be a different flavor. So if you find yourself not liking it, I appreciate you all being open to trying some of my food. But if you say, hey, it's a little too earthy for me or something like that, then you can always use millet or couscous. Okay, and then it'll taste what you're more used to. All right, so we're going to start off. Where are all the? Okay, here's my tray. All right, where'd that cup go? I'm just gonna use the whole thing. And this is how many ounces? Okay. All right, so you can cook this in plain water, or you can use broth, whatever you prefer. So we're gonna use a broth. I have some Better Than Bouillon no chicken base that we'll use. I need to find out who took my measuring cup because that's part of a set. All right, so use 2 cups of that. I'm going to use this whole bag and probably half this other bag. Let me see if y'all can see that. Are y'all able to see this? Yeah. Does that look like sand? How tiny that is? Y'all can see that? Tilted? Oh, okay. Yeah? Okay, so it's super tiny. All right.
So when you put that in your smoothie, is that cooked?
Yes. So I'm making enough for all y'all. So I'm not following the measures in the recipe. Okay. All right, I'm right.
Would be like a good rice
Absolutely. Wherever you have rice, put Fonio for the nutrition, especially if you're eating white rice. Okay. And why is white rice not ideal? Not that it's bad. It's been stripped of its fiber its nutrient profile because the germ and the bran have been removed. And that's where the nutrition is. So when you're left with that endosperm, that's just the pure carbohydrate, the sugar. And that's why when you eat white rice, that's why it's high in the glycemic index. That's why you can have that spike. So that's just something to be aware of.
Now what about brown rice?
Brown rice is, if you're going to eat rice, brown rice is the rice to eat because the whole thing's intact. But ideally, in my personal opinion, if you were asking me, I would say to eat wild rice, which is not even a rice, because that one is full of minerals and it actually been eaten raw.
Wild rice?
Yes, because
Explain that about the wild rice.
because it's actually a seed. So it blooms rather than a grain that you have to cook. So you can literally soak your wild rice, your wild rice, and after a day, you'll see it burst out of its shell, and it'll be like black and white, and you can eat it like that. And if you want it, the softer you want it, to soak it longer. That way it retains all of its nutrients. But the second you add heat to anything, the degradation process starts. It's a chemical reaction in the food, so you don't ever get 100% of the nutrient value in the food, which is why you should aim to eat something raw every day and something green every day at a minimum. So you get all the enzymes.
You soak it for a day?
So it depends on how 24, I would say 24 to 48 hours, because certain wild rice, the older it's been sitting out, the longer it's going to take for it to get to that state. So if it's something that's been freshly processed, a day it'll be bloomed. But if you had it sitting in your cabinet for 6 months, it's going to take some more time. So you all see how this is looking, correct? It takes no time to cook. So like when we do couscous, you don't even have to cook couscous. If you just have some hot water or some boiling water and pour it in a bowl and cover it, walk away, and 10 minutes later come back, you fluff it with the fork, it's done. You can do the same thing with Fonio. Okay?
Would you put all your spices and stuff in that while you plated it or cook it? I'm trying to figure out.
When do you add the spices?
Yeah.
We're about to do that. I just wanted to have this cooked first because I'm making such a bigger batch, and actually I'm going to add some more because with all y'all in here, I don't know if that's going to make it. So I'm going to go ahead and add the rest of this.
Okay, well back to the couscous. Unfortunately, at the time I've also, for the first time you tasted it, was fabulous because it was really seasoned really well, and I want to be able to do the same thing with mine because I cook from scratch. So I won't turn it. So if you just do the hot water, so I can put the spices in there then while it's cooking, or how would you do that?
If you're doing the couscous bowl method, you put all your spices and maybe a drop of oil in the bowl. Pour the couscous on top. Pour the hot liquid on top. Cover it. And then, I'm missing the other ingredient here. And then let it soak. And then fluff it and mix all the seasonings in together.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. So if you make it unflavored, you can add to smoothies. You can keep some and keep it in the freezer or in the refrigerator. And they can always just add, a third of a cup, quarter cup, half cup to your smoothie. And then what I prefer to do, I'll take this, and I just did this last night, use it with plain water, and then I go ahead and blend it up and keep that in the refrigerator. And then you can either use it as your smoothie base, and you can just add it to stuff. It's a very creamy, it's a really silky texture. It's really nice.
If you're going to use an oil, which is the healthiest?
Palm oil. Palm oil. We talked about this, I think, our first week of this class. any palm oil or coconut oil. But coconut oil, even though it's a high heat oil, you don't ever want to heat it because all the medicinal properties evaporate, because those are naturally occurring oils. All the other oils, you have to go through an expeller process to get oils out. But palm oil, when you boil palm oil fruit, the oil literally just rises to the top. It's naturally occurring. Same thing with coconut oil. And it's the highest source of vitamin A, I think, on the planet is in palm. So not the one that they use where they're always talking about deforestation and the byproduct when they're using the palm kernel oil. Not that. The one that's like from Africa or from South America that comes straight from those farmers. That's what you want to use. Okay, add some more water. You see, it doesn't, I'm running out of water, you just add some more, it just goes with the flow. So we're going to add raisins because raisins are very typical in North African cuisine. So when we're talking about going back to the flavor profile thing, it's very important when we're talking about seasonings, or people refer to it as, you're talking about flavor profiles. So when you're hitting, you want to hit everything on your tongue. So what are the things that you taste? What are the things you taste on your tongue? Sweet, sweet, salty, bitter. What else? Sour, sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and what's the last one? Umami. That's correct. Umami. So umami is that savory feeling when you eat something that's so just warms your heart. You're like, that's umami. A Japanese food scientist came up with that term like about 100 years ago, and so that's actually a part because it is a reaction you have when you taste something that has that umami. And so things like in the non-animal world, like nutritional yeast, miso paste, those things add umami. In the processed food space, MSG adds umami. That's part of the reason why those processed foods can be addicting, because you're tasting that umami usually from the MSG. And thank you. And what was I about to say about that? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I do. Anyway, move on to my actual point. I was probably going on a tangent like I tend to do. But so yeah. So the flavor profile. So when you're looking for something you want, it should be balanced. It shouldn't be just this or that. Oh, I know what I'm going to say. Why foods become addicting. In nature, you never see these three things together. Something that's fatty is not also salty and sweet. So in these processed foods or in these commercialized foods, they put salt, sugar, and fat in the same thing. You become addicted to it. But there is nothing in nature that comes in that kind of package. And that's why it's hard to overeat. You can't eat a whole bushel of apples, okay? But when you have apple pie, okay, it's a different thing. And you just have to think about that. This is how you get, yes, they put these, and so they have people that go to school for food science to combine things that excite your tongue, and then you get addicted to it. And so you feel like you're struggling because you feel like you don't have enough willpower. And you have to do a mental shift because it's not you. It's been designed for you to want to come back and eat it. So just think about that. When you eat something, if it does have something in there, it's only two things. It's not going to be sugar, salt, and fat. Okay, if you eat a date that has almost no fat, but it has the sugar, but it has all the minerals and the fiber, okay, that's why you want to eat it intact. And it's hard. You can't eat a whole thing of dates. You get tired of it. You wear out. But when it's processed, when it's been commercialized, you can eat. So that's why you start with one chip. Next thing, the whole bag of chips are gone. Okay, because they still put sugar in the chips, sugar, fat, and salt all together. Okay, so that's why you're getting hooked on it. So if you just don't buy it and start, when you have those quote unquote cravings, because when you have those cravings, that's your gut bacteria saying, feed me, and it's not the good ones, right? So we want to starve those ones out, add the good ones in, and so you don't have cravings anymore. You should want, if you crave something, you want to crave a good kale salad that you're going to eat in a few minutes. And it's true. I started craving salads and kale. I'm telling you, you ask my husband, like, whew, when that hot light came on at Krispy Kreme, it was a U-turn, okay? I am so serious about that. Yeah, so that's what happens. Huh? You say something? Okay. Yeah, my sweet tooth was out of this world, out of this world. Okay, so we're going to add our spices to this. I'm doing this kind of in a backward order, but it's okay. It's just because it's a big portion for everybody. So I already, the smell, what you smell when you wafted into the classroom today, I had already baked some zucchini, red bell pepper, and red onion. Okay, so we're going to add this to it. We're about to eat, y'all. Y'all should be excited. I just got to find a way not to spill all this all over the place. Thank you.
I like that pan. What's that?
Okay, this is called a silpat. It's a silicone baking sheet, so nothing sticks to it. Easy cleanup, and it can be in the oven up to 500 degrees without off-gassing. Yeah, it's made for baking.
Where do you find that?
Yeah, that is so funny.
The silpat, Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, Amazon, Sur La Table, that's where I like to go and get it. Sur La Table, Williams and Sonoma, all those places. So you don't have to bake this. You can make this basically almost raw, minus the Fonio, and put in fresh bell peppers, fresh tomato, fresh zucchini. But to give that true North African spin on it, they normally have it baking in a tangine or something like that. So that's why I went ahead and roasted it. I'm going to go ahead and incorporate this.
I was going to ask you how to make that, and I love to do tangines.
Yes.
So you could do that as a tangine?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's very, very good. All right. So a lot of times when you think of, let's say something that's common, like an Italian food, if you start thinking of seasoning, you really think of a flavor profile. So you know, they always say it's like the flag, the red, white, and the green. So you have the tomatoes, and you have the pasta for the white, and then you have like flat leaf parsley for the green. That is like a flavor profile for Italy, and you start adding other things to it, like basil is always part of that. And so that's why you can have ingredients and figure out what you want to eat based on a flavor profile, because you already know that these things kind of work together. So when we're talking about North African cuisine, they use different spices. They're going to use cinnamon. They're going to use coriander, and coriander is the seed of the cilantro plant. Okay, there's the same thing. Because we're the only country, like everywhere else you go, they call the leaves coriander and the seeds coriander, but here they use the Spanish word for the leaves is cilantro, and they use the seed, they call it coriander, but it's the same plant. That's part of it. And they always have different texture. So even though a lot of things like one pot stews, you'll have some things that are soft and some things that are chewy, some things that are hard. So here we've got this is the soft part. Oh, are y'all smelling pumpkin bread yet? Let's see how that's looking. I'm going to give that 10 more minutes.
Just as long as we get it tasted before we get put out.
Give it 10 more minutes. I'm used to cooking on a gas stove, as y'all know. Oven and stove, yeah, it cooks differently. All right, so we have a little bit of the crunch from the zucchini in here that's been roasted. We're going to have some carrots we're going to put in there, some organic carrots. Let me see, how much did I say? I don't know. I just want to put that much in. No. And then we're going to add in some garlic. And I always pre-grate my garlic. That's about 2 or 3 cloves worth of garlic there. We have the raisins, raw, so cumin. It says we're gonna need, since I'm doubling it, we're gonna need 2 teaspoons for my, here it went. All right, we're gonna need some coriander. So we've got some. Oh, thank you, Dawn. Okay. Did I just put in 1 teaspoon of cumin or 2? I put 1, okay. I said, I don't remember putting that second one. Let's let him add that back in. Now this goes against culinary school technique because you're supposed to season as you go along, meaning you're supposed to salt as you go. But you want to salt at the end. And you really want to salt after you add. If you add lemon to it, it gives you a feeling of salt, and you actually end up putting far less salt than if you didn't use it. So just try that at home and you'll see a difference. So we're going to use a little bit of turmeric, which I just used here. Pop quiz next week on North African flavor profile. Let's see, cinnamon. Cinnamon is one of my favorite spices because it can be used sweet or savory applications. I really like that. It's very warming. All right, some black pepper. And I'll go easy because I know how y'all are. Yeah.
What about local honey as a sweetener? Is that okay?
So yes and no. So in the non-animal people eating world, it's not considered vegan because it comes from an animal, and you want to save the bees. Unless you go to like a bee farmer where they're only taking the excess honey. And not killing the hive by taking all the honey like most of the commercial ones do. And a lot of the commercial honey is actually not real honey. That's a whole scandal in that. So only thing about honey too, it's really good to eat it in season because it has the minerals and it's local to the area, but it is very high in glucose and it does spike your blood sugar. It does. So if it's not an issue for you, you can, but none of my recipes will ever have honey in it because I leave the bees to be. Yeah, maple syrup, agave, coconut sugar, date paste.
So maple syrup does not spike?
Maple syrup will, agave won't. Agave has just a tiny amount of glucose. It's high in fructose, which is what is in fruit. So it doesn't spike your glucose. It doesn't spike your GI. It doesn't spike your insulin. It does not. It does not. And then if you do like dates or coconuts, because of all the fiber that comes with it, it does not spike it as well, which is why you always want to have it intact. At least with the maple syrup, it's whole and it's full of minerals. So it doesn't spike it high, but it does have a spike to it. Not as much as honey. Honey is like one of the highest spikes in terms of the natural sugars. Yep. But if that's not an issue for you, then it's not an issue for you, but I'm just making you all aware.
Yeah. Talk about the different grades.
Yeah, if you want to if you want to get maple syrup, get Canadian or other importer because the United States, they changed the laws and now they're using gases to extract the maple from the trees. They use formaldehyde as one of the gases they use to extract it. And okay, so buy grade B or C maple syrup, not grade A, which I know it sounds counterintuitive, but that's their grading system. You don't want grade A, you want grade B or C, preferably from Canada. And if you go to Organic Marketplace, there's a local farm here that just has like a tap on the tree, and it is delicious. It doesn't taste like what you think of maple syrup tasting like. It comes straight out the tree. Angela, I think you can attest to that.
So where is that?
They just sell it. It's from a local farm here, and they actually go to the farm. They talk to you about it. Always talk to your farmer. Go to the farmer's market. Know where your food comes from. But Organic Marketplace in Gastonia, they sell that, and they're also good about the honey they sell. They make sure that they're only taking the excess honey, that they're not destroying the bee colony, because we don't have bees, we don't have food, guys. Like, we need the bees. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start to fold these spices in. Any other questions while I'm kind of assembling this? Yeah, I will at the end. I still got to put some salt in it. I'm hearing talking, but I don't hear any questions.
I got a question. Is the bread ready?
We have 3 more minutes on that.
What is a basic step? When you talk about flavor profile, like you say, like how you see it on these cooking shows,
You got to say a little louder with the mic. I can't hear you.
like how you said, like, you know, when we look at these cooking shows and they throw all your ingredients at them, and you're saying how you got to understand the flavor profile. Like the basic, what would be a basic flavor profile that you would start trying to learn about so you would know what the cook is like?
I wouldn't answer the question that way because it's going to be different for each person. Because for me, it's always going to be Nigerian. Okay? So that's not going to be your starting go point. So I was talking to Karen about this yesterday, and she was like, oh, I watched Chopped or Beat Bobby Flay. They just present all these ingredients, and I never know how they're able to come up with these meals and the seasonings they use. And I said, well, they're not thinking about seasoning, they're thinking about flavor profiles. So they'll look at the ingredients, and certain ingredients lend themselves to certain cuisines. So if I see Fonio, I'm going to automatically think of West African cuisine. If I see couscous, I'm going to automatically think of North African cuisine. And when I think of North African cuisine, I'm like, okay, it's going to have preserved lemon, it's going to have cinnamon, it's going to have cumin, it's going to have coriander, it's going to have all these things because that's the flavor profile. And then based on that and whatever ingredients are available, you put a dish together. That's what you're thinking. You're not thinking of, okay, salt, pepper, this particular season, lemon pepper. You're not thinking of seasonings. You're thinking of flavor profiles. And so each region has theirs. So when you're thinking of a southern flavor profile, what comes to mind? Apart from like lard and salt and butter. Okay, so that's how you would do it. So you would start with a flavor profile that appeals to you, because it's gonna be different for every person. If someone grew up in New Jersey, they're gonna have a different flavor profile than a person that grew up in Nigeria, than a person that grew up in South Carolina, okay, or Cleveland, okay, very different flavor profiles.
I'm just trying to get the concept of how you think, but now I got it. It's region, just like if you're thinking Asian, you start thinking of sesame seeds or sesame oil, you know.
Well, Asia's
or ginger. They're wide.
That's pretty wide. But yeah, if you want to start at the super top level, because that's just like saying African, and that would be like, for me, it would be like, whoa, that's so, it's too much. But yeah, if at a high level, yeah, it's going to have your turmeric, your ginger, your sesame. It's going to have those, because it's all about balancing all 5 flavors with them. In that cuisine, you have to have a bitter, you have to have a sour, you have to have a sweet, salty. It has to all balance in that umami. That's what makes those sauces so good and addictive. When you go to restaurants, it's about that. So that's what you'll think about, not actually the seasoning per se that you'll use. You can see the seasoning blends that you have in your cabinet and see what lends itself best to based on what you like. But think of things more regionally. Think outside of hamburgers and hot dogs and all that kind of stuff, and think of, okay, when I eat this type of cuisine, when I eat Indian cuisine, what do you taste? Okay, it's always going to be ginger and garlic at the base of it. And if it's a tomato base, it's going to have tomatoes in it. It's going to always have cilantro. It's always going to have coriander seeds, mustard seed. That's going to always be there. And that's what you can just start putting that together. Is you're not thinking about seasoning, thinking about flavor. Because that's what we want. We want flavor. So it's not about the meat or the meat being in it or not in it. It's about the flavor and the texture. Okay. Now it smells done to me, and make sure it looks done to me. I think it might need a little bit more time still. Let me see. My hands are too small for this. Take it out. See, the top is still too soft. Yeah, it needs more time. Can you put it on the top shelf, top rack? Thank you. All right, someone set their alarm for 10 minutes. Por favor.
Okay, since we're talking about the palate, I'm trying to master my skill with doing the Ethiopian and their, with their Barbie, what's it, Barbie?
Bere.
Oh, I love that.
Or Americans say Berbere, but
Yeah.
bere.
And I tell you what,
I love it, but y'all probably think it's too spicy.
yeah.
This is a mix of cilantro and parsley. And mint. Always North African. Okay. It's gonna be very herbaceous. So when you think of those flavor profiles, that should come to your mind. Not to interrupt you, Jackie.
Okay, so I've come to appreciate with eating and learning to try to cook their Ethiopian dishes and stuff, that you really have to go to those stores to really get the authentic seasoning. Because if you try to get it at some of these knockoff stores, you are not getting the same thing.
I can't disagree with you.
I had to learn it with their, what you call the burger or the
Bere.
oh, that was a big difference when I went to the store to get that from one of their grocery stores compared to one of the German grocery stores that was carrying it.
I would say this, if you're looking for a flavor to be inspired by, like we did our inspired Korean oatmeal or our Moroccan inspired, is using things you can find at your regular schmegler grocery store. But if you want to take it up a notch, I highly suggest you go and visit these markets, the African markets, the Caribbean markets, the Asian markets, because it's different. Like a Nigerian curry is completely different from a Thai curry, from an Indian curry, from a Jamaican curry. They are very different. But if you just go to your regular grocery and just buy a curry, it's just very base.
What is the difference as far as like Jamaica?
The spices, there's some of them have different spices. A lot of the spices are the same, but a couple of spice variants, but the proportion of the spices are also different. And then the heat level of the spice for the curry in particular is different. So, if you're heat resistant, you might want to start at, the regular way and then work your way up. But it's really good because if you go to like your Indian market, buying the Indian spice, they're so much cheaper than when you buy it in the grocery store, a regular grocery store. You can get huge portions there for a fraction of the cost you would in the grocery store. And same, so I love going to the Indian market. I love going to the African markets, the Asian superstores. You get all kinds of stuff there and all kinds of different fruits and things. So,
Up here on the plaza is excellent.
which one?
The Asian market.
Oh,
Yeah, I think so.
I
There's
think
some
they're ready to
smaller
open
kind
up
of
one on
bodega-ish ones here around.
let's see.
It's the only
an
giant one I know
international
of.
market on 50, on 51.
It used to be the OK Market. They used to be on 50. He got one on Independence, but he's going Superstore on 51.
I don't know, 51.
Like games and.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and they will have restaurants in there and all of that.
Okay, so just to recap for those who don't have the recipe. So we have red bell pepper, red onion, and zucchini that was roasted that I put in here. I'm going to add the salt last. We have fonio, we have raisins, we have some broth, which I'll add a little bit more of, cumin, coriander, cinnamon, turmeric, black pepper, garlic. We're going to add the juice of these 2 lemons. We have some chickpeas. We have parsley, mint. And then as optional toppings, which are typical, we have some sliced almonds for crunch. And we have some pomegranate arrows for that punch of almost sour. Has everyone had pomegranate before? Yes. Okay. So it's optional and it makes it look pretty in the picture. So I'm going to top it with those. I'm going to go ahead and add in a little bit of salt. I'm going to taste it before I give it to y'all.
So you don't roast almonds?
For this version, no. No, it's just flaked almonds. Yep, just flaked almonds.
And I have to say that I'm always looking for different recipes with okra.
Then you need to look at West African recipes. That's like a staple.
Okay.
So many okra recipes.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you had some good recipes for okra.
Yes.
I love okra. And
Lots of countless recipes for okra.
I just found a Asian restaurant that does stir fry okra.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it is delicious.
I like okra chips, like air frying the okra
Yeah.
with just a little bit of salt and pepper on it.
I tried that, that was good.
It's pretty daggone good.
Like no oil or anything, just the okra, season it, and put it.
Me, yes. If I was serving for folks, I might put like a one of those, which is what the actual serving is. Remember we talked about that before? 1/3 of a second is the serving size on most spray oils. 1/3 of a second. When it says, oh, 0 fat, 0 trans fat, 0 this, only 15 calories or whatever. Yeah, 1/3 of a second. So you tell me how you're able to figure that one out. All right. So I just have my hand here to catch the seed so you don't get that bitter seed. Not that bitter is bad, because bitter is really good at stimulating your liver. So it's important to eat bitter and sour. It's absolutely needed. And this adds a nice brightness. You said what? What'd she say? Couldn't hear you.
I said, if I burn the food, it'd be bitter, so it's bitter.
Right. Okay. Where's my rag? Okay. So we're gonna mix this up. And I'm gonna do our toppings, and then we'll have our salad, our kale salad. Which one you want to go ahead and start serving that? Okay. And then our fonio. Isn't that so nice and colorful? You know, you want to eat the rainbow every day because every color is a different antioxidant, which is a different thing in the body. So when your plate is beige, like a lot of people's plates are, there's no beige antioxidant.
I like that.
Make a t-shirt out of that one? Okay.
How important is it to massage the kale in salads?
So for me, because apparently I've become famous for this salad, it's essential because it tenderizes it and it removes some of the bitterness that people find off-putting when they eat kale completely raw. So this is a massaged kale salad, but it's absolutely not necessary. It's just for mouthfeel and texture.
Really?
Yes. And, you know, it makes it tender. This is a very basic kale salad. I normally put blueberries in it, but today I put cranberries in it. So that's that. All right, let me get a sampling. That's working for me. Just add a little bit more.
I was trying to figure out what I did.
Eat your greens. Remember, half your plate, non-starchy vegetables. Eat those first before you load down on the carbs and the meat and the cheese and all other crap you're eating, right? Load that down first. And then if you get a second plate, do the same proportion. That's how you can keep from overeating the stuff that you want to limit. Okay? Okay.
It's not your butter, is it?
It's a very easy dressing I've come up with. It's just garlic, some spices, and the main thing, and a little bit apple cider vinegar. And the main thing is to let it sit for a day to really soak up. That's why people really like that particular dressing. I mean, that particular salad, they like the flavor. But it's not that you can put. Thank you. You haven't had it before? Oh, it's on the website and there's a video of me making it.
I think, you know what, I think you have this one, 27 days.
Yeah.
I do.
You did, and I think that's the day, I don't think I did that one.
Oh,
10 minutes. I'll do 10 minutes.
oh, okay. I was like, I haven't heard that ringer before. That's a nice ringer. It's very peaceful. Okay.
What recipes did you do last week?
We did breakfast recipes last week. So we did the quinoa, the vegs, and the Korean oatmeal. I think that was the last class. Yeah. So y'all like the salad? Okay. That's great. It's very simple. You like it? Okay. It's very simple. Every time, so, you know, my husband's a master instructor of ballroom dancing. And so when we have any kind of dance event, I bring that salad and it's always gone. So. Yeah.
What's like the dressing?
That's what I was just talking about. It's just garlic, like salt and pepper. It's very basic. Garlic, salt and pepper, apple cider vinegar. I'll do a video on the dressing. But you can put whatever dressing you like that's not ranch or Thousand Island or okay. Outside of those, put whatever dressing you like on it, okay? All right. I gotta let y'all try my Caesar salad dressing that's made with no dairy and no anchovies, because that's what's in Caesar salad dressing is anchovies. All right, so I think I'm good on this flavor. Let me just taste it one more time. It's nice and bright. Okay. Okay. Anybody have an allergy to almonds? Okay. All right. You can serve it out there, whatever. That's easier.
She did that.
That was so good. I never had a salad. Never had a salad.
Oh, you never heard of salad?
All right.
Take a picture.
It tastes good.
Okay. All right, I've added the toppings, and these are optional toppings. If you don't like pomegranate, then of course you can omit it, but it's so full of antioxidants, guys. All these herbs. Okay. And here it comes. Take this out, okay.
Because I always think the oat's sweet.
That was my biggest surprise.
Okay.
I did that, but I did.
All right. So I'm gonna give this, it's still not done on top. This oven, man, gives me problems every week. So, and this is something you can make in bulk. This also freezes really well. The cake, the bread also freezes well too. So you can, you know, take a slice or two and then freeze it up to a month, and then just thaw it at room temperature in the refrigerator, and you can reheat it like in a toaster. The butter will last in a glass seal container for about a week. Like a heat kick?
Yeah.
I would say black pepper.
Is that it?
Yep, I didn't add anything spicy to this.
That's good.
Herbaceous. I'm calling it Moroccan Fonio because it's the Moroccan flavor profile used with the West African base of Fonio, which can be replaced again with millet or couscous, because traditionally this would be with couscous. But it all works together. So you see, you get different textures, you get different flavors, you get different colors, and that is part of the West African and North African in most of the dishes, because a lot of the dishes are one pot dishes, and so it's, you don't want everything to be mush. So they layer it up like that intentionally, so you have all different types of filling and bursts of flavor in your mouth. That's the intention behind these one pot meals. Well, essentially one pot meals.
What about carbs? Is it high in carbs?
I can't remember. It is not low carb. It's,
Yeah.
I know.
Gotta be something, right?
Yeah. And now remember, carbs aren't bad. Oh, thank you. I'll wait until after I finish. Thank you, babe. Have you? Carbs are not bad. Like this keto mess they're selling people. Okay, let me step back. Carbs are not bad. What makes carbs bad is Twinkies, Ho-Hos, Pizza Hut. Those carbs are horrible for you. But eating these type of complex carbs that do not spike your blood sugar, they are full of fiber, they're full of minerals, they're good for you. Every centenarian society, centenarians are people that live to be over 100. They have carb. It's a high carb diet, not a low carb diet. And you have to have fat. Fat is not bad. If you don't eat fat, good fat, healthy fat, then you don't produce the right amount of hormones. If you don't have anything with saturated fat is how your body produces cholesterol, because your body produces cholesterol. You do not have to eat another species cholesterol, okay? You don't need that. Your body produces an abundance of cholesterol, and from your cholesterol, your hormones are produced. So your testosterone, your estrogen, your progesterone, everything that our body needs comes from cholesterol that makes the hormone. If you're not eating enough proper healthy fats, your hormones get off. And I know I can tell you all about, because this is what I specialize in, okay? So that's a whole conversation in itself, but you have to eat healthy fats. So eating avocado, eating coconut oil if you're gonna have an oil, eating palm oil if you're gonna have an oil, eating things that are the healthy fats, olives that are high in fat. You have to have fats in your diet. You have to have proper carbs in your diet. Our body is designed to run on carbohydrates. Okay, that's our fuel. So you have to have it. Now, does that mean that you can't go into ketosis for a while? Yes, absolutely, and it's good. You should fast and all that, but it's not a long-term, lifelong thing, because our bodies are not designed that way. So I'm not against it or for it, but they just label fat as bad and carbs as bad because they're promoting these high animal diets and talking about protein. As we talked about last week, we were gone last week or 2 weeks ago, we've talked about many, many times, as we get older, your protein needs decrease because you are not pregnant. Most of y'all in here are not triathletes, okay? Most of you all in here are not breastfeeding, okay? So you don't have a high protein need. You're not building something new. You are trying to maintain, okay? So typically over the age of 30, your protein needs per day for most people outside of those things I just mentioned are 30 to 40 grams of protein a day is all you actually need. Your body does not store protein. Any excess protein is excreted through the kidney and you pee it out, okay? It's not like minerals like iron will store up in your body. Fat-soluble vitamins store up in your body. Water-soluble vitamins, you pee it out every day. You have to eat it. You have to replenish it every single day. Protein's the same thing. So if you are one of those people that do 120 grams of protein a day, I guarantee you have a ton of protein in your urine and you're wearing out your kidneys. And that's one of the leading causes of chronic kidney disease in this country, is not understanding that balance. And so it's just be aware of that. And this is why I always give the example of an 18-year-old boy that could eat 5 steaks, no problem. That same man at 60 can't do that, has all kinds of problems because your digestive juices are not as acidic as they were because they get less and less acidic over time and you can't break it down.
So
Okay.
let me ask you, you say as you get older, you don't need as much protein.
Correct.
Right? So say what you give us a different recipe, this type of eating. What would I get what would I need, or where would I get some protein, or do I need?
Okay, this is your first class. Okay, so just be very, very clear. All protein, and I mean every protein on planet Earth, comes from plants. Okay, so when you eat an animal, you're eating an animal that ate plants to get protein. Okay, they're not the protein source. The protein source comes from plants. Point blank and period. It's the only thing that takes photosynthesis, converts it into amino acids, which is what actual protein is, because they sell protein because it's a one thing. It's amino acids, right? That only comes from plants. So if you choose to eat the middleman, that's your choice, but that's not where it comes from. When you eat a cup of broccoli, that has 5 grams of protein in it. I mean, I have handouts that can show you everything in this meal. It's very high in protein because I've got the chickpeas in there, we've got the fonio in there, we've got the almonds in there. It's very high in protein, right? But you don't need all that. The main thing is to make sure you have balance, that you're eating lots of fruits because fruits are cleansing to the body, and that you're eating enough vegetables so that you have enough fiber to bind up the excess toxins in your body and to excrete them, right? That you're having a balanced, colorful diet. And if you choose to include flesh products in your day-to-day, that it should not consume more than 25% of your plate, okay? Whether it's plant or animal, you don't need more than 25% of your plate, which is the size of your fist or size of your palm, for whatever size you are. Your protein does not need to exceed that per meal. Okay, that's just what it is. You should not have a big old steak on your plate and a little drip of salad, okay, and a whole heaping thing of mashed potatoes. Okay, you got it all wrong, and you're going to be tired. You're going to have a hard time digesting it, especially the older you get, and you're going to start having all these aches and pains. They're going to say, oh, it's just part of the aging process. No, it's not. Okay, it is part of the aging process if you eat like that. Okay, so protein is not an issue. We Americans get an abundance of protein, but you don't get enough fiber. The question needs to be, where are you getting your fiber so you can poop and pee and sweat this crap out of your body? Because not only are you eating crap, we're exposed to all these environmental toxins as well. Okay, that's the question of the day. Where's your fiber coming from, and are you hydrated enough? Because people do not drink enough fluid. Not coffees and fruit juices and so. Not cold pressed juices are excellent. Not the crap you buy in the grocery store. It's pasteurized. All the nutrient value is gone. Okay, you should be hydrating with H3O2, which are fresh pressed fruit juices first. Second best is spring water. All right, and nothing else. That's really what it should be. Smoothies, fruits, salads. That's what it should be. That's what your diet should consist of. And if you want to occasionally, do your thing, okay, but be aware, make the choice. But protein is. You do not have do you know anybody's gone to the hospital for a protein deficiency? Name one person that you've seen ever in the ER that has a protein deficiency, but yet everything you see marketed to you is protein, high protein this and keto that. It's a bunch of crap, and you don't understand how the body works. It doesn't work that way. You're peeing it out. It's a waste, and you're wearing out your kidneys. Okay? You need to have a clean liver and a clean kidney and clean kidneys to function properly. The liver produces your hormones. So if your hormones are all out of whack, if you have low testosterone, if you have prostate issues, all that, your liver is inflamed. Women, if you're having PMS or you're having super hot flash because you're in menopause, your liver is inflamed. Okay, you got to clean out your liver. If you have any kind of urinary tract infections, if you're peeing 15 times a night, your kidneys, you got problems there. You got to clean house. That's what it comes down to. You're being marketed to. They're not trying to help you live a healthy life. That's why we're having this class. That's why I'm passionate about it. Yes, it's West African right now, but I still want to make sure the health message comes across so that you can make the choice. Make the choice for you. Okay, I'm sorry I get very passionate about that. So let's see if this is done now. It smells done, but the top.
My mother's 87 years old, and she lives on hot dogs.
There's always that anomaly. There's always that. My grandfather smoked every day, several packs a day, and ate pork and all that. Yes, but are they in optimal health?
No, she is not.
And it doesn't mean. Am I saying you're gonna die early? You should age gracefully. You should still be dancing and having a great time in life, right? Yes, and that's a very acidic body. It's full of acid, and you're not going to age gracefully. So, I'm not saying you're going to have a short life. I'm saying you're going to live what is thought of as an old person's life, and it doesn't have to be that way.
No, but she
hold on, let me just show them.
But you can't tell an 87-year-old.
You're right. So here's the bread, y'all. And to me, the top is not done to me. If y'all still want to eat it like this, we can, but who says okay? Okay, let's just go ahead.
Yeah, we done been with you too long. We know you good, girl.
We're gonna go ahead and slice it up because that's the streusel topping. But it shouldn't look like that. Yeah, check it out.
Wait a second, 4 minutes.
It's supposed to cool completely before serving. So. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and pass it out. Y'all are so patient. So the class is officially over. Y'all have any questions, we'll go ahead and ask it. We can wrap it up. And if not, I really thank y'all for your attendance. Yeah, a question? All right. Yeah. Yes.
You said that's not good. You don't need it.
Okay, so the question is about plastic in the microwave. So first of all, the microwave is radiation. So anything they say when you're pregnant, don't stand in front of it. Why would you stand in front when you're not pregnant? Just a thought, okay? So, but how it works is radiation, and it changes the structure of the food. Okay, so whatever, even if it's healthy, it's changed the structure of the food, and if denigrated the enzymes, they're not viable. They're not at their full potency. The microwave, like I call Chef Mike, you don't need Chef Mike. Okay, if you want to reheat something, use a toaster oven, use your stove, and tame your hanger for 5 minutes, okay, and it's worth it. And it will taste better. But sometimes it's impulsion and convenience. They sell you convenience, but it's not convenient for your health, okay? So just consider that. And then if you're gonna, not only, so that's even if you put something on a plate in the microwave. So now if you add the plastic component to it, you're radiating the chemicals in the plastic into your food. Even when if you do takeout and it's in a plastic thing and it's hot food in there, it's the same thing that's happening. So if we don't eat out that much, but if we eat out, it's got to be a place that uses paper portable thing, or I bring my own. I don't want it in that because I don't want that in there. I want it to be in something that I'm going to actually be able to eat. So that's just something to think about. You know, you might feel like that's overboard or something, but
something an air fryer's okay, right?
Oh yeah.
Convection
Air fryers are great. Toaster oven, stovetop, toaster, all that's fine. Just not radiation. Okay, because that's literally what it is. And it's just like, it's like people have the mindset of being killed a little bit at a time each day. They're fine with that, right? But it still adds up. It still builds up. So, yes.
You mentioned about cleansing the liver and cleansing kidneys.
Yes, ma'am.
And stuff, right? Because if you have any of those symptoms that you mentioned and stuff, what is the best thing to do to cleanse the liver and cleanse the kidneys? Is that a whole nother class?
The question up here is, what's the best thing to do to cleanse the liver and to cleanse the kidney? Yes, that's its own class. I can tell you general things, but it's going to be specific to the person and their current health state. So what I would say to you is something different than I would say to Kimberly, because y'all are in two different places. But in general, there are some general herbs, 'cause I'm an herbalist if y'all didn't know. There's some general herbs that are just good for liver detoxification. The first one is going to always be milk thistle. It's really good because it's very gentle. And dandelion root is very good. Those are two herbs that no matter what health state you're in are really good and gentle for detoxifying the liver, on top of eating clean, on top of being properly hydrated, on top of moving your body at some point every day. Those are things you want to breathe every day. So it's some type of deep breathing every single day. You want to move your body, and it's not nothing strenuous. You want to move your body for at least 30 minutes a day, and to the point of perspiration, because until you actually perspire, nothing's coming out. Okay, because our skins are our largest organ, and it's going to excrete toxins. And if you don't sweat, it's still in there. Okay, because certain things have to be pooped out, some things have to be peed or sweated out. So if you don't perspire, it's not coming out. You want to do it every day.
I need to up my movement or something to.
Yes. Yes, if you're having a hard time sweating, you got to kick up the intensity. Kick up the intensity. You can go to Of course, Organic Marketplace, they have really good stuff there. You can go to any herbalist that you know around here that has that you trust. You can go to, I mean, it depends on what you're doing with it. If you want, you can get dandelion root tea, or you can buy actual dandelion. First of all, dandelion is what they call weeds. Anything that's considered a weed to our culture here is actually healing foods, because our creator put it there in abundance because you're supposed to have it. So when you see those little yellow flowers, those are dandelion flowers, right? That is what you need. That's what, and people killing off, put Roundup, oh my God, glyphosate on there. That's what you need. But you can buy, if you don't want to grow your own, which takes nothing because it's very proliferate. It just grows. But you can go to Harris Teeter and Whole Foods are very good about consistently carrying dandelion. And that bitter you want to have. You don't want to drown it in a bunch of sugar. You want to get used to a bitter taste because you need that. You can try to cut it with lime, like some kind of citrus or like an apple or two. But you can cook it up, but you're damaging some of the enzymes once you add heat. You want to juice it or eat it raw in a salad. Like you can have like a spinach or kale salad and add dandelion to it, so it's not all bitter. There's a lot of different ways, but that's going to be the best and easiest way that you can do it right now. And if you want to go deeper, it'll be like a one-on-one kind of conversation.
The best one is the one that you just pull from the ground, like.
Yes, in a place where there's not a lot of traffic or animal trafficking. Okay, so no one's go on the side of the road right here and pick it up, because that's, yeah. Make sure it's way off it's either growing naturally that's not around a street and human traffic, or go somewhere where they actually grow it, preferably organic. Yes.
This one doesn't taste like the first one. I like the first one. It's okay.
This one, remember, it has the streusel topping and it had the oil in it. It's more rich.
I like it all.
Yeah, he liked it all.
Who can we show our appreciation to you and to the sponsorship for this program?
I appreciate that, Deborah. Thank you. The Arts and Science Council Culture Blocks funds this program. So you can write to them, Ebony Lewis at Culture Blocks. And then the new manager here, I think her name is Tari, because she gives us the space, because not all rec centers have kitchens. That's at ASC Culture Blocks.
Okay.
Arts and Science Council.
Contact them.
Yeah. Arts and Science Council, ASC Culture Blocks, Ebony Lewis. And then Tari here, she just replaced Diana, who was fantastic here to let us use this facility. Because North Regional, we were supposed to have the second class. Their kitchen, they didn't pass inspection, so we're not able to have classes there. So it's only here. And the rest of the places, I would have to do on a hot plate, the whole time. So I'm grateful to be at this location. So if you want to reach out to them, that's more than welcome to. I'm sure they appreciate the feedback.
Speaking of inspections, is it okay if we brought our own plate
Yes.
and utensils so we
Yes.
can throw this in the trash?
I would really appreciate that.
Everybody hear that?
I would really, really appreciate that. To bring your own plate and utensils, so we're not always throw these away. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much. Yes. You can regrow hair. You can. Oh, okay. Hey guys. One last thing as a recap. One last thing as a recap. For all the recipes, they go on my website, Naija, Naija, Goddess, GODDESS.com, and go to the blog, and you'll see all the recipes there. You can also see the videos on my YouTube channel. So, and if on the blog post, if the video's released, it'll also be in the blog post. So you can always go there, and that's where the recipes will be each week, okay? I'm grateful to you all.